and welcome back to Bookish Theories. In today's video, we'd like to talk about BTS's Yet to Come, focusing on a little breakdown and analysis of both the lyrics and the music video to see what they can tell us about this much-awaited comeback. Yet to Come, the most beautiful moment, is a song co-written by RM, Suga and J-Hope that pays homage to BTS's past while promising that their best is quite literally yet to come. In order to celebrate the 9th anniversary of their career, BTS came back with a title track that cherishes those years through a video that references them all. You see, according to what Namjoon has explained in the press release, proof marks the end of chapter 1 of BTS's journey, so Yet to Come is meant to wrap everything up and prepare us for the next stage of BTS's career. Just like the album is an anthology that commemorates some of the most memorable songs of their discography, Yet to Come is almost an anthology in and of itself. As we'll see in a second, the video references many of their title tracks, the storyline, as well as their message, and this is something that is evident since the very beginning. In the very first scene, for instance, we are introduced to Jungkook sitting down in the desert as the sound of the sea can be heard in the background. Right off the bat, this is very important because, as I mentioned in my teaser breakdown, the contrast between the desert and the sea is a metaphor that BTS always used to symbolize the difficult journey that they had to endure in order to achieve their musical dream. The first time that BTS used it was all the way back in Skit on the Star Line. This is a hidden track from Too Cool for School when Namjoon actually reflected on what it means to be a trainee. The most well-known use of this metaphor, however, can definitely be found in Sea, which in turn is a hidden track from Love Yourself Her. In both cases, and in many cases after that, the desert was always seen as a metaphor of their hardships, while the ocean was always a symbol of the dream that they wanted to achieve no matter the cost. If back in the skit Namjoon described the desert as something that was behind them and the ocean as a goal that was in front of them, however, in Sea came the realization that the desert and the ocean are actually one and the same. Without crossing the desert, they wouldn't have been able to get to the sea, and without facing those struggles, they wouldn't have been able to achieve their dream. Accepting this truth was an important aspect of their growth that would later be developed in their Map of the Soul concept when they confronted their shadows and learned to embrace their hardships as a part of who they are. Instead of being ashamed of having had to cross the desert, what BTS did was to take pride in it. When they accepted that their struggles were a necessary step to reach their goals, their desert finally bloomed, so in Yet to Come they are proudly showing it off by highlighting every era of their career. In a sense, I think that this dive through the ages is also a way to show that the members never really changed. In the song they are aware that many people won't believe them, but deep down they're still the young boys that they were 9 years ago, and they still have the same passion that they had when they were kids. Even if now people call them the best, besides the pressure that comes with this title, and despite the responsibilities that the members never really asked for, BTS are only 7 people who love music and worked really hard to make it their livelihood. As they say themselves, they still have a lot to learn, a lot to do, and a lot to sing, and at this point they don't really care about crowns, trophies, and people's expectations, because all they really care about is their dream, their music, and the best that is yet to come. While cherishing the past, Yet to Come also promises that now it's time to move forward, so the next time they will see them, they'll be a little bit more themselves and come back to square one with many songs yet to sing. The most important thing, however, is that this is a promise that they're making to you, because the best moment in life is the one shared between BTS and ARMY. As they say themselves, you are the proof of their existence, so as long as you are by their side, the best will always be yet to come. Before we get to that, however, let's take a look at the past, because the video is a collection of beautiful moments in and of itself. At the beginning, for instance, Jungkook references Butterfly on Stage prologue, and the scene itself portrays the chapter from the Notes 1 that is fittingly called the most beautiful day of our lives. In the story, after the boys meet again, they go back to the same place where they once shouted their dreams at the sea. If in the prologue JK was looking at the sea, in Yet to Come is looking at the desert and BTS themselves, and this is because, as we already established before, the dream of the sea and the reality of the desert are two sides of the very same coin. When the song begins, the members are sitting on chairs right next to each other, and this in turn is a direct reference to Just One Day. Soon after, however, we go back to the Bangtan universe, because the next scene shows us Jin's truck crossing the desert, like in the prologue we saw it arriving to the sea. Next up we get to Jin, and his hand movement actually references the ending pose of Fake Love. As I mentioned in my teaser breakdown, his outfit is very reminiscent of the ones both in Blood, Sweat and Tears and DNA, but when he looks up at the camera, the video references the ending scene of Euphoria. After Jin, we catch up with V, who is standing next to a table with a flower in a vase. This is a setup that heavily recalls this scene from the highlight reels, as well as the flower vase that we saw back in Epiphany. The rose, on the other hand, is a symbol of love and passion that BTS have used in Boy in Love, Just One Day, and Boy with Love. When it comes to Taehyung himself, we can see red roses in singularity as well, and in Yet to Come he smells the rose like he smelled the Smeraldo flower back in that video. When we catch up with JK instead, we see the first of many references to Spring Day. We see him standing in front of the You Never Walk Alone carousel, and he's even dressed in a very similar style. When we cut back to Jin, however, we see him parked next to the giant sculpture of a fallen angel, and this statue is a direct reference to the statue that he kissed back in Blood, Sweat and Tears. With Jimin we go back to Spring Day, not only because his outfit is similar, but also because he finds a pair of shoes in the desert like he did at the sea back in that video. And on top of that, this shot of him reaching out to the sky is also a reference to both Black Swan and On. When we cut to Yoongi, we find him on a red piano in the middle of an oasis, and this scene is actually very interesting for a couple of reasons. First of all, Suga is actually introduced by the appearance of a purple butterfly, the animal being a reference both to the song with the same name, as well as to the color that characterizes BTS themselves. Yoongi's outfit, moreover, references his styling back in the most beautiful moment in life, and when he stands on the piano, his pose recalls the pose that he had in I Need You. The piano itself, on the other hand, is a reference to First Love, but one essential detail to point out here is the contrast between Yet to Come and his story in the Bangtan universe. You see, in the narrative, Yoongi has a very conflicting relationship with his piano, because it is his first love like in real life, but it's also connected to his fictional trauma in the plot. Throughout the videos, Yoongi's piano is often burnt, mistreated, or even broken, but this time around it seems that the piano is blossoming into an oasis in the desert. This might be a way to show the nurturing power that music has had in his life, but more specifically, it might actually be a reference to August is So Far Away. Back in that song, Yoongi encouraged people to dream and wished them and himself to bloom after their trials, and this imagery seems to be front and center in Yet to Come as well. Next up we get Namjoon, whose outfit actually recalls both Dynamite and Fake Love. Most importantly, however, in his scene we finally get a reference to the iconic container that we've been theorizing about for the past 7 years. In the Bangtan universe, Namjoon the character lives in one of these containers, and in many respects this location is one of the most important ones within the story. Right next to it, we can also see 2 gas pumps, which in turn are a reference to his fictional job at the gas station. Now when we get to J-Hope, we once again go back to Spring Day, and this time with a reference to his scene on the train. Both his pose and outfit recall that scene as well, but his clothes might also be a callback to the Love Yourself highlight reels. The 7 members on the track reference this iconic shot from Run and the prologue, but their outfits also recall this scene in Euphoria, where the event portrayed is the same, but the timeline is actually different. Jimin turning around to reach out to us is a reference to the same scene in Spring Day, while Blood, Sweat and Tears is referenced once again with the scene of Jin covering V's eyes. Back in Blood, Sweat and Tears, the roles were obviously reversed, and if back then this action was followed by the appearance of the fallen angel, now we actually see the comeback of the bus from No More Dream. When the members start running towards it, the scene recalls videos like Young Forever, Run, but also Euphoria, but when JK runs to the dune, the scene heavily recalls the final scene from On. When he walks on the bus, on the other hand, that's a reference of him walking on the edge both in Euphoria and the prologue, while his final pose is the same one from Euphoria as well. This final shot references this memorable pose from Spring Day, while JK running back to us heavily recalls Jimin running around in the cafeteria back in Euphoria. Last but not least, the final scene of the video shows us the members sitting in the bus from No More Dream, but the framing of the scene itself is a direct callback to Spring Day. The only difference is that if back then Jungkook was sleeping, now he's fully awake, possibly meaning that his dream has finally become a reality reality and the spring has finally come. As the lyrics tell us, however, them closing this chapter also means to go back to square one and start a new stage of their journey looking for the best moment that is yet to come. But to know what this new chapter will involve, we'll have to wait and see. In the meantime, I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and if you did, please think about liking and subscribing. As always, thank you so much for watching, guys. I'll see you next time. Bye bye.